Hi friends. Okay, so we are going to do several steps this week to create a final fabulous still life project by Friday. All right, let me show you exactly what our end project could look like. So here's mine. What I did was I found an everyday object, and as you guys can see, it's scissors. I looked at these scissors, I drew them, I cut it out, and then I traced it all over my paper, overlapping. Some is even hanging off the edge here. And as you guys can see, I traced it all over the paper in different directions on top of each other. And then, in order to create a really nice contrast where we see the scissors come off the page, I used color in the background with just markers. Now, just like with any old project, you guys can color the background with anything you would like to, or you can color the scissors and leave the background white. It's really up to you, but we want to make a distinction between our shapes and our background. We also have pattern repetition, so we should be pretty good at that by now. We know repetition, we know pattern. So now we're going to take our Still Life drawing skills and we're going to use them in a beautiful piece of artwork such as this. Now, remember, you do not need to use scissors. You guys can use whatever object you have handy at home. If you remember Monday, I drew this crusty old paintbrush. This would be a great object to trace, or not trace, but look at, draw, cut out, and then trace all over your paper. I don't want to use the same thing I did on Monday. Remember, this was just my practice. I want to do something different. And remember, that's how we get better at these things. So on a new sheet of paper, I'm going to look at these scissors and I'm going to try to draw it as best I can, simplify it as much as I can, and then we're going to cut them out. So for today, the only thing we need to do today is, remember, this is getting broken up into different stages, different steps, so we don't get overwhelmed, all right? So today, our big goal is we want to look at an everyday object like scissors or a paintbrush or a coffee mug, and we're going to draw it, and that's it, all right? So tomorrow, we'll do more steps, and then the next day, we'll do more steps, and eventually by Friday, we'll have a really beautiful piece of artwork. Okay, so I'm going to put all this away, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how I did mine. And remember, that doesn't mean you need to do scissors. It means you can do something completely different. Okay, so I'm looking at my scissors. I found this paper floating around my classroom here that was a little bit thicker. So I wanted to use this because I do need to cut it out and I do need to create a tracer. If you don't have thick paper, that's okay. Just use another piece of paper that you have lying around. Okay, first thing, I'm going to get an eraser. I'm going to get a pencil. And just like on Monday when we practiced, I want to look at all the shapes, all the details. It kind of looks like this handle turns into the blade and this one is attached. So let's see. I'm going to try to draw this as best I can. First shape I'm going to do is I want to try to do this handle shape down to the little dot there. So I see kind of a straight line. I'm going to curve it up and over. Okay. Next, I want to do my circle here. And I'm going to try to do this opening where the handle is. And it looks like it comes down, over, and around. And again, guys, remember, it's okay if it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be. Let me get this a little closer so you folks can see this better. So let's see. The next part is I want to try to draw this other handle here, my little handle. I did the big one. I'm going to try to do this little guy. So this little guy I see kind of comes down and then over, round, over again for the finger part. Okay, this looks pretty good. And then I'm going to draw a nice big circle because I know that's where the thumb would go. This is looking pretty good so far. Next, I'm going to try to draw the blade here. So the blade looks like it comes from the big part of the handle. So I'm just going to go down and do an extension of the handle here. And again, guys, I don't want anybody tracing anything. I just want you to draw what you see. Now, a little challenge for you, folks. If you have a big object you're looking at, maybe you're looking at a ginormous, like, watering can, you're going to need to make it small so it fits on the paper. So we need to talk about making things a little bit smaller so you can draw them on the paper. You can trace them a couple of times, all right? If I drew a really big pair of scissors, I wouldn't be able to trace it as many times. So make sure, you guys, we want to keep it something, you want to keep your drawing about as big as your hand. That way you have a lot of extra space to be tracing onto your paper. All right, so here we are. I have this awesome drawing of some scissors. I kept it simple. I'm not going to bother doing fancy schmancy details. I just want to make sure I could see what I need to see. And if you need to, sometimes it does help to go over it in a Sharpie. So if you are like, oh no, I can't see it that well, I'm going to trace it in Sharpie. That is perfectly fine. In fact, I would trace the outer line here. And if you don't have a Sharpie, that's okay too. You don't have to do this. Let's see, I'm going to cut along the line, or trace along the line where I know I'm going to eventually cut this shape out. Okay, let's see, I'm going to have to cut out this little part too. If you have little parts like this where you know you're going to need to cut out, so this part I have to cut and this part, and it's on the inside, see if you can get an adult to help you. All right? Tomorrow, we're going to worry about cutting this out and tracing it all over our paper. So today our big focus is let's find an object that's going to work for you. Let's make sure we can draw it simply. And then tomorrow, get ready to cut it out and trace it.